A newly married couple was very poor and lived on a small farm. One day the husband said to his wife, "My dear, I will leave this house. I will have to travel far, very far, to find a job, and work hard so that I can return and give you the full life you deserve. I don't know how long we will be apart, so I ask you only one thing. Please wait for me. When I am not here, keep your heart pure and remain faithful, as I will do the same for you." After that, the husband left. Day after day passed, and he traveled a long, long distance until he met an old farmer by the road. The old man also needed someone to help him. The young man approached and offered to become his servant, helping him each day. The old man accepted, and they discussed the terms together. The young man said, "Let me work for as long as I can, and when I feel it's time for me to return home, please let me go. I don't want to receive any wages now. Please hold on to them for me until the day I leave. On that day, I ask that you give me all the money at once." They both agreed to this arrangement, and so the husband worked on the old man's farm for 20 years, without holidays and without rest. 20 years quickly passed, and he went to his employer and said, "Sir, it is time for me to return home. Please give me the wages I've earned over the years." His employer replied, "Very well. We had an agreement, and I will honor it. However, before you go, I want you to consider this. Either I give you all the money and let you leave, or I will give you 3 pieces of advice and let you go. If you choose the money, I won't give you the advice. And if you choose the advice, I won't give you the money. Now, young man, go back to your room and think before you give me your decision." After 2 days of thought, he returned and said to his employer, "Sir, I would like to receive the 3 pieces of advice. Remember, if I give you these 3 pieces of advice, I won't give you the money. Are you sure?" "Sir, I would like to receive the 3 pieces of advice." The old man then said to him, 1. Never take shortcuts in life. The quick paths may be filled with unseen dangers. 2. Never be too curious, for curiosity can come at a very high price. 3. Never make decisions when you're angry or desperate, for blind decisions will lead to regret. Then the old man gave him 3 loaves of bread and said, "These are 3 loaves of bread for you, 2 for the road, and the last one for you to enjoy with your wife when you return home." Bidding farewell to the old man, the husband set off on his journey home. The long road of 20 years stretched ahead of him. He was eager to be reunited with his wife back at their home. After the first day, he met a traveler along the road. The stranger said, "Young man, where are you headed?" "To a place far away, a journey of 20 days if I continue along this path," he replied. The stranger said again, "Oh, young friend, the road is long and far. I know of a shortcut that will get you home much faster." Eagerly, he started down the new path, but after a while, he remembered the first piece of advice from the old man, and he returned to the original road. Later, he learned that the shortcut was full of bandits lying in wait. Many more days passed, and he was fortunate to find an inn by the roadside. He stopped to eat dinner and slept soundly. In the middle of the night, he was startled awake by the sound of terrifying screams coming from outside his room. He got out of bed and was about to open the door to see what was happening. But then he remembered the second piece of advice, held back his curiosity, and returned to bed. The next morning, when he had breakfast, the innkeeper asked him, "Did you hear the terrifying screams last night?" "Yes," he replied. The innkeeper asked, "Weren't you curious to see what was happening?" "No, not at all," he answered. "You are fortunate," the innkeeper said. "You are the first guest to survive and leave here. In our village there is a demon that roams at night. It screams to draw people outside, and anyone who goes to investigate is never seen again." He continued on his journey. The closer he got to home, the more excited and joyful he became. Day by day, night by night, his legs grew weary, but finally, he saw the flickering lights of his familiar home. It was late at night, and his house was still far off. Through the window, he saw the silhouette of his beloved wife, but she was not alone. There was another man with her. She was gently stroking his hair, and they seemed very affectionate. The sight before him broke his heart and filled him with bitter anger. His soul boiled with rage and humiliation. He wanted to rush in and confront them. But then, he took a deep breath and calmed himself, remembering the third piece of advice. He decided to stop and sleep outside. Lying on the grass between the hills, staring up at the stars, he told himself he would wait until the morning. When the first rays of dawn broke, he had fully calmed down. He said to himself, "I will not harm my wife or her lover. I will return to the old man and ask him to take me back to work. But before I leave, I want to speak with her and tell her that I have remained loyal to her." He hesitantly knocked on the door. When his wife opened it, she burst into tears of joy and threw her arms around him. He quietly said, "I have always been faithful to you, but why have you betrayed my trust?" His words struck her heart, and she replied, "How could I ever betray you? I have done nothing wrong. I have patiently waited for you all these 20 years. Then who was the man with you last night? Who was he?" At this point, she smiled. "That is our son. When you left, I discovered I was pregnant. Our child is now 20 years old." Her words were like a gentle stream washing away all the sorrow and worry from his heart. He begged her for forgiveness, and then stepped inside to meet the son he had never known. Afterward, the family reunited over breakfast that his wife had prepared. He took out the last loaf of bread and placed it on the table. When he cut the bread into 3 equal pieces, he was astonished to find all the wages from his 20 years of work hidden inside. The amount was not only for 20 years, but far more. God is like the old man in the story above. When he asks us to dedicate ourselves, he blesses us with much more than what we have given. He wants his children to have wisdom and the blessings they deserve. If you find this video helpful, explore more exciting content by subscribing and turning on notifications so you won't miss any future videos.